Trump just sent the National Guard into Washington, D.C., and the results are stunning. One resident said it perfectly. It's been quiet as expletive for 2 days. I feel safer than I ever have. In a single night, law enforcement arrested 33 criminals, including a juvenile carrying a pistol without a license. 15 of those arrests were illegal aliens charged with murder, rape, and assault. That's the reality of juvenile crime in our nation's capital. But one New Jersey town has a radical solution that's got everybody talking. They're not just arresting kids, they're actually throwing the parents in jail too. If your child commits crimes like assault or mugging, you could face fines or prison time. Is this the answer to out-of-control youth crime? And keep on watching. While D.C. cleans up its streets and Jersey locks up parents, Americans are taking their health into their own hands. As we age, collagen production drops, causing wrinkles and sagging skin. By 40, it's declined significantly. That's why I use ageless multi-collagen 5 types from 4 premium sources in hydrolyzed peptides for fast absorption. No clumping, no odor, just results. And every order donates a meal to hungry kids through nokidhungry.org. Non-GMO, no additives, gluten-free. Just 51% off at healthwithgary.com with free shipping and a 60-day guarantee. Take control of your health at healthwithgary.com. So we got some news that is just coming in. Pam Bondi has confirmed that there are, in fact, 200 arrests have been made since the federalization of Washington, D.C. And she confirmed that 75 of those arrests were by ICE. And the Heritage Foundation is coming out declaring that D.C.'s crime crisis is a direct result of the policy choices of the city's local officials. Well, I will expand that to the rest of the country. Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, Atlanta, New York. All these cities have very liberal crime policies, soft on crime, no cash bail. These types of things only embolden the criminals. So let's take a listen here what they're saying on Fox.
Crime, no matter.
Can this be solved by trying 14-year-olds as adults? Zach.
Yes, in some cases where that's appropriate. And look, that's not uncommon. Most states, the majority of states, allow for juveniles to be charged as adults in appropriate circumstances. The problem we're seeing in Washington, D.C., and I think Judge Janine alluded to this during the press conference today, is that the U.S. Attorney for D.C., who functions as the local prosecutor for the district, cannot charge juveniles even when they commit violent crimes, including carjacking in many instances. Primary authority for prosecuting juveniles rests with the locally elected D.C. Attorney General. Now, the locally elected Attorney General, he has a very radical view of our criminal justice system. He's pledged that he will never prosecute a juvenile as an adult, no matter how heinous the crime, no matter how old the offender. And what you're seeing as a result is gangs are going out recruiting very young individuals to commit very heinous crimes because they know under the D.C. Attorney General's prosecution regime, those offenders, if caught, will only receive at most a slap on the wrist.
And of course, that all needs to change. And one person's noticing it. This video going viral right now across all the socials. You got to hear it from her own mouth. Raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. Listen to this.
Finally able to chill at a red light with my window down, not worried about if one of them young niggas is coming. Ride through the city. Feeling more safe than I ever felt. I really just be trolling. But no funny. It has been quiet as shit like for 2 days. That's good. I don't need to be taking nobody loved ones and babies and all that other bullshit. I need to be doing all that. Finally able to chill at a red light with my window down, not worried about if one of them young niggas is coming.
So she's clearly happy about President Trump's actions. Peace returning to Washington, D.C. And there's this. Law enforcement made 33 arrests last night. 15 of the 33 are illegal aliens.
Carrying a pistol with. Law enforcement made 33 total arrests in our nation's capital last night. 15 of the 33 are illegal aliens, including arrests for murder, rape, assault, and a juvenile carrying a pistol without a license. We're told 20 multi-agency teams were deployed throughout all 7 districts in D.C. to promote public safety and arrest violent offenders. There were more than 1,750 participants in last night's operations. Law enforcement made 33 total arrests in our nation's capital last night. 15 of...
That is remarkable. We have this also from Rapid Response. CNN's Henry Enton dropping some news that, of course, CNN is biting their tongue over.
But look at where Democrats have to get it around their heads that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than they think that they are. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval handling crime. Where was he last year? He was way underwater at minus 13 points views of term number 1. But look at where he is now. He's on the positive side of the ledger. He's on the positive side at plus 1 point. Americans view Trump far more favorably now on crime than they did a year ago. Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way, way, way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden. In 2023, Republicans were favored by 13 points. Look at where they were in May of this year. Republicans were actually favored by 16 points. They actually gained ground on crime. They were maintaining their edge and actually added a little bit to it. Democrats have to get it around.
You got to love that, right? Coming from CNN. Here's more from CNN. D.C. leadership says they've never seen any action that causes more risk to the public safety than Pam Bondi ending their sanctuary policies.
The action. And as Chief Smith has said in the papers, in her nearly 30 years of enforcing the law, both as a federal law enforcement officer and as chief of police, she has never seen any action that causes more risk to the public safety than the actions of AG Bondi last night in her Bondi order of about 7:45 at night.
Yeah, really? Just trying to make this safe, buddy. And down in New Jersey, here is the New York Post cover. Jersey town will punish moms and dads if kids break the law. The parent slap. Moms and dads in New Jersey will be held accountable and can be tossed in jail if fined if their badly behaving kids are found guilty of committing such offenses. Check this out.
Town council to parents. And keep your children under control or face the consequences. That's the message from one New Jersey town council to parents. And with a new law just passed, parents, if they fail to stop their kids from breaking the law, could wind up with a $2,000 fine or face 90 days in jail. And naturally, some parents are outraged, say this is going way too far. Thanks to cell phones and YouTube, we are seeing more scenes like this play out across the country. It's what Gloucester, New Jersey found itself dealing with last summer when more than 500 teens arrived at a city party, started a brawl, and needed over 100 police to calm the situation. The mayor of Gloucester addressed this recently, says he has a solution.
We have a juvenile crisis in this country. This is not unique to Gloucester Township, but rather is symptomatic of a larger societal juvenile crisis. Now, I'll tell you, I don't have all the answers, but one possible answer is to hold parents accountable for their children.
Now, a new law Gloucester just passed. It's called Minors and Parent Responsibility and says that parents will be held accountable for public disturbances caused by their child. The new law even suggests they could go to jail.
Blaming parents for what a child does. They are their own person, right? 16, 17 years old. Sure, their brain's not fully formed yet, but if they are getting the correct guidance, they should be making the right decisions. And they know the difference between right and wrong. And if they choose to do something wrong, that child should be held accountable for it, not the parent.
The new law covers 28 crimes ranging from felonies to chronic truancy. Many are straightforward: felonies, muggings, assaults, sale and use of narcotics, public indecency. But some of the crimes on the list are murky, open to interpretation, including immorality and knowingly associating with immoral people.
I think if we start this, what is it going to open up? What else are we going to be at fault for? If a child gets in a car accident, is it my fault? I was at home. Like, it really, New Jersey lacks a lot of common sense, and a lot of the bills and laws that they try to push through lack common sense, and we need to bring that back.
Now, authorities there say this is a law intended for parents with children 18 or under, but ultimately it's for parents who have a child who's repeat offender and repeatedly finds themselves in juvenile detention.
Oh, wow. Watch your kids, man. Let's see what else we got here. Here's more on what's going on in Gloucester Township.
It's called the Minors and Parent Responsibility Act. The ordinance is the result of a massive brawl last year among roughly 500 teens during a drone show. News 8's Rich McHugh joins us live. So, Rich, what more can you tell us about this new law?
Hi, Nicole. So keep your children in control or face the consequences. That's ultimately the message from one township in New Jersey, Gloucester Township in southern New Jersey. Parents, if they don't prevent their kids from breaking the law, they could essentially face fines up to $2,000 and jail time up to 90 days in jail. Some parents are outraged, say this sets a dangerous precedent. You know, thanks to cell phones and YouTube, we're seeing more scenes like this play out across the country.
Let's check in with Janine Piro.
Committed by young, I see too much violent crime being committed by young punks who think that they can get together in gangs and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens, and it starts today. But it's not going to end today, because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the state attorney general, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose. And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids, because I can't arrest them, I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President. I see too much violent crime being committed by
Judge Janine on the case. That was at the White House earlier this week. Let's check in with Elena Haba on Fox and Friends.
I then recall there were actually 3 shootings with the same gang in the last 6 weeks. So when I came in as the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, what I did was ask what had happened with Sergeant Ascona. I was briefed on it. It was with the state at that point, and the individual who actually shot him is in the hospital. He was going to go under the state, which meant that he would have had a very low sentence if he was found guilty, which I'm sure he would be. I then requested that we take it on and give him a federal charge and charge him as an adult. There were actually 3 shootings.
They're talking about it on Fox and Friends as well.
It's 8 miles from Philadelphia. It's in the state of New Jersey, and they have passed this new law called Minors and Parent Responsibility. A blue state, a blue town, and they are saying, okay, we're tired of the crime. If the kids are breaking the law, these juveniles are breaking the law, We can't do anything about it. Same repeat offenders. Now we're going to go after their parents. Their parents could go to jail for 3 months and could be fined $2,000.
So here's a quote from there, and I think it's important to hear this. The ordinance holds parents, legal guardians, or anyone responsible for a minor accountable for public disturbances caused by the child. The ordinances list 28 offenses that could make caretakers liable, ranging from felonies to minor infractions like loitering, breaking curfew, or chronic truancy. If a child is repeatedly found guilty in juvenile court, notice they say repeatedly, their caretaker could face up to 90 days in prison and or a fine of $2,000. Now, the first time I ever heard of this was if you have a party and you have kids over when the age went up to 21. So if you have a graduation party, parents would be saying, make sure these kids aren't drinking, because if they get in a car, get in an accident, you lose everything.
Right.
But now this is accelerating. And I think I think this is a good, important trend. Notice, they're not looking to get it from one infraction. Constant. There's a problem. Now they're going to make them responsible. Sometimes you have to force parents to parent.
So when I worked in juvenile court, this was typical. I mean, the judge would send out before the court date, even a dress code, to your point of put on a tie, of what she expected in her courtroom. And there were many times where the court made it very clear that when the parents didn't get the kids to school, you're going to jail as well. And it extended to their criminal behavior as well. Mom, Dad, what is the problem here? What were you doing this time? Why was he on the street after 9 o'clock? Did you know about this? And so maybe this is new from there, but in many states and many cities, the courts are already doing this. I know there was a wave of these new DAs that wanted to reimagine the criminal justice system, but now we got the kids that are running the street now, and we can't have it.
There are some critics because they say, what if you have 3 great kids, but then you have one child that's just unruly, always gets in trouble? We all grew up with that person that came from, nice parents that did care, but they just couldn't be controlled. And so those are some of the critics that are worried about going to prison, putting a parent in prison for 90 days, 3 months, and and then other people said, and then you take parents away from those other good kids, the 3 good kids.
Right.
So this is a Bergen County Moms for Liberty chairman, Alex Bull.
If you got value from that report, hit subscribe. My final thought is next. Trump's D.C. crackdown proves what we've known all along. When you enforce the law, crime drops, period. Americans now view Trump like Air Jordan towering over Biden on crime. Why? Because he delivers results and not excuses. And that juvenile with the pistol, under Biden, he'd be back on the streets. Under Trump, he's behind bars. And now Jersey's taking it even further, holding parents accountable when their kids terrorize communities. And Judge Janine warned us our laws are weak. We can't touch anyone 14 to 17 years old. Well, that changes. D.C. leadership crying about ending sanctuary policies while their streets were war zones. That's exactly why Trump acted. He's protecting law-abiding citizens in a city that prioritized criminals and illegals for decades. So here's my question. Should parents face jail time when their kids commit violent crimes? Drop a yes or no in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation, and you can show your support for the Next News Network and check out our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.